it's easy to write jokes about the Michigan Wolverines, and I'm not going to go there on this because, well, this is a turn for me. So if you're a Michigan fan, please consider subscribing to the channel as we're marching toward 100,000 subscribers here. That's my national championship, and you won one last year, and that's kind of the point here. I got to tell you, I felt some kind of way about seeing Sherrone Moore up there in his nice blazer with the ball fade. Look, need to work a little bit more on the waves, but you know what? We get you a wave kit. We get you a do-rag. You let them mugs cook, and you going to be out here just making them seasick with it, baby. But that's kind of the thing there. They march to their own drum beat at Michigan. They beat the drum, too. They are unique, and they want you to know that they are unique. But it also kind of feels like Sherrone Moore was created as a new character in Destiny 2 by Jim Harbaugh, who is a Titan full-time, but also just wanted to mess around in a different subclass and a different race. So he went Hunter and Awoken, but tried to make that dude into the charginess, shoulder charginess, fist of havocus, axe throwingness, hammer throwing Hunter who ever lived. Because he's got all the traits of a Titan, but he looked like a Hunter. If you don't know what I'm saying there, first Destiny 2, second, I'll put it this way. Sherrone Moore has been going through it. He is the first black head coach at the University of Michigan, full stop. That might not be a big deal to you, but it is a massive deal to me. I've written 2 books about black history, and Sherrone Moore is now a walking, talking black history fact. Okay? This is also year 1 for him, following one of the most beloved Michigan coaches, players of all time. Football people love Michigan. They love it. And the way that I can tell that they love it is PJ Fleck goes out of his way to say, hey, look, we won 5 straight bowl games since I've been here. We have just put together the best recruiting class we've ever had since I've been here. But we are about continuity. We are about trying to make our chemistry the best chemistry. Look at what the University of Michigan did compared to the talent that other people had. And he's got a point there. Because the thing that I was trying to press my brain about was, what did Michigan do well? And I got to tell you, playing EA Sports' College Football 25 has helped me better understand this. There is a way in which you can make your ultimate team into a monster. And while you would think that is adding really talented players with high overall ratings, that's one way to go. You can do that. That's what Ohio State has done this year. That's what Ole Miss has done this year. That's what Oregon has done this year. But what has made Michigan 40-3 over the last 3 years is Jim Harbaugh has slowly taken the 15,000 coin necessary to go into each and every one of those players and convert their team chemistry from what it was to Michigan. You can go in there and you can create a monster that on paper does not look talented, but is a sleeper giant because you've converted the team chemistry all to go in the same direction. That is what they have done at the University of Michigan over the last 3 years. Now, I would be remiss because the folks that watch this show would be the first to note that aren't Michigan fans. RJ, they were cheating. Yeah. RJ, they got caught cheating. Yeah. RJ, they got a whole documentary on Netflix around Connor Stallions and what he did coming out in August. Yeah. I would also tell you, Michigan did what I asked them to do after that was found and took over the news cycle. It was, okay, is it the cheating or is it them? It turns out it's them. Jim Harbaugh missed first 3 games of the season on a self-imposed suspension for some BS recruiting violations, and then missed 3 important games in November because he was suspended by the Big Ten for Connor Stallion going to do what he was doing, stealing signs, stealing signals. It didn't matter. They won every game they played. Their head coach missed 6 of the 15 games. Coached 9 games. They won the national championship against more talented teams. I would also put it back on this. Look, coaches coach, players play. The players on that team, they didn't care about any of that. They cared about Jim Harbaugh and Sherrone Moore and that staff. They love those guys. And when you have players who love their coaches, there's nothing that they can't do. I genuinely believe that. They had Alabama on their 2-yard line, getting ready to punch it in to try to send this thing into overtime, and Michigan football players stopped Jalen Milroe in Alabama. Not Sherrone Moore, not Jim Harbaugh. Didn't matter to them who was highly recruited or who wasn't. It didn't matter to them that we didn't think that they could do this. It only mattered to them that they were all pulling in the same direction, making it happen in a very real way. But back to Sherrone Moore. It's hard for me to talk about Michigan. Number because Michigan fans and I, we got some history. I'd like to squash it. I told you I'm turning over here. I choose to believe you. And the reason I choose to believe you is those players, but also y'all spaghetti recipe seems to be working. 3 years ago, it felt like y'all were using a recipe that none of us use to make sauce. But now I believe your sauce because your sauce has 40 out of 43, 40 and 3. Your sauce created J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, and Donovan Edwards. We'll see. He ain't done nothing in the regular season, say beat Ohio State, but in the postseason, he's been a monster, right? I would love to see him take that leap. We'll see what Mason Graham can do, Kenneth Grant can do, Will Johnson can do, Alex Orji, to say nothing of Samaj Morgan, Fred Moore, all of that. But Sherrone has been going through it, as I said, because he ain't going to have the luxury of a soft non-conference schedule like his predecessor. They got Texas coming, and I think Texas can give them the what for and the how now. But every time I seem to think that Michigan going to lose the football game, they go and trounce somebody. So that's that, right? I'm telling you what my eyes see, but I'm choosing to believe Michigan folks on this one and the players more than that. Their schedule, though, is, again, tough. Their schedule went 98-59 in 2023. They have 7 teams on that schedule that were ranked last year, and they got 9 teams that beat ranked opponents last year. Connor Stallion is one thing. I think the other that we got to take into account is just what happened off the field. Like he's had to let go of Greg Scruggs, defensive line coach, and Denard Robinson for drunk driving-related charges. He's had to find a replacement for the talisman on the back end, that is Rod Moore. I think that losing the entire defensive staff will show itself, even though the last 3 defensive coordinators were just running Wink Martindale's defense. Now Wink Martindale gets to run that defense, but I do think there's going to be some adjustment there. I think there's going to be some adjustment from Sherrone Moore, who's not calling the plays. It's going to be Kirk Campbell on the offensive line. Offensive coordinator who's going to be calling the plays and being a quarterback's coach. And then they got to settle on Alex Orji being the guy, who we all think is going to be the guy, but you want to feel good about it. You don't want to think, oh, my man, this is the best we can do. You want to feel like that guy went out and won the job come preseason camp. And you got to do this the way you've been doing it, because Sherrone Moore is just Jim Harbaugh light. When you say things like, we're going to do our process with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind, you can see how it's hard for us not to make a joke there, because it feels like you don't, it doesn't feel serious, but because you know you're serious, I take you seriously. It's 2 things that I pick up from Herman Boone. One is, I run 6 plays, split veers like Novocaine, just give it time, always works. I'm that guy. I got a skinny playbook, but it works. The other is, if you're a mean cuss, be the same mean cuss with everybody you meet. That just means be who you are. If you are authentic about who you are, we will trust you. We will believe you. Jim Harbaugh was authentic about who he is. Doesn't matter how we feel about that. He was that guy full time. It seems like Sherrone is being that guy full time, and Michigan is that program full time. That is why they are good. They have an utter belief in who they are and what they stand for and how good they are going to be. That's called confidence. Don't begrudge anybody confidence. They act like they've won the last 3 Big Ten championships. They act like they are the defending national champions. Let's see what it looks like in 2024.